Let's get some reaction from inside Venezuela. Gabriela Misones Rojo and Tony Frangia Mawad, our journalists in Caracas. And Gabriela, let me start with you. Tell us your reaction when you first started hearing explosions on Saturday.
So we woke up to the sounds of explosions about 2 a.m., which lasted for a couple of hours with virtually no information at all. At first, it was even impossible to really know what was happening, if what was happening was an escalation of U.S. military or if it was something internal, like a coup, for example. So a couple of hours went by, sort of no explanation. At 5:30 a.m., we got the first confirmation via social media, Truth Social post that Maduro and his wife Celia had been taken. So from this time, we started getting a little bit more of an insightful situation of what was happening. We had confirmation that it was a U.S. attack, and also at this point, we were able to confirm what was the objective of the attack. Soon after we got confirmation from Delcy. We also got it from Diosdado, so it was pretty certain what was going to happen.
And so, Tony, once daylight hit and word started getting out through Truth Social and other sources of what happened, what was your reaction and the reaction of people around you?
So the moment I found out, I checked my WhatsApp and it's, flooding with messages, floating with videos of the operation. Everybody's calling each other and we're not sure what's happening. As Gaby said, we all were thinking, is this a coup d'etat or is this, a U.S. intervention? So when it was more clear that it was an intervention because of the type of helicopters that the videos were showing, I went down and I was actually in the beach near Caracas in a sort of beach clubs member where people go in vacations. So I go down and people are just with water bottles filling them in case there's like a shortage of water or supplies, and people are running to the mini market to line up for food. So there starts to be like a sort of, panic that there might be a cut of basic services and supply. And people are just talking and there's a lot of rumors. And then, as Gaby said, around like 5 a.m., I think it was already daylight. Trump announces that Maduro was extracted. And well, that's when some people started cheering. But then there was also a lot of uncertainty. We didn't sleep all day. So we spent like all the day awake and since 2 a.m.
Yeah. And Gabriela, where you were and what you could see, what were things like on the streets of Caracas on Saturday and into today, Sunday?
So, well, many Venezuelans from the diaspora celebrated loudly and publicly. It wasn't the same feeling here in Venezuela. There was, if I had to describe it in 2 words, I would say uncertainty and contradictions were a huge part of Saturday. On one hand, of course, people were sort of celebratory. They were happy that Maduro got some sort of justice and that he was detained, and most importantly, that he was overthrown for power. But also, as Tony mentioned, people were very worried on, risk assessment, damage management, and just trying to deal with what was happening on that day. So during Saturday, the streets were very quiet. There were no reports of protests, of public celebrations. There were very little reports of colectivos in the street also, which is something very usual, especially in poor neighborhoods. People were more focused on buying food, buying medicine, going to gas station. Of course, most of them were closed, so people were gathering in very long lines to make this happen.
Tony, I could imagine in a power vacuum where the leadership of the country is so uncertain, where there's been this kind of abrupt shift, people could take advantage of that. And I just wonder, did that happen where you were? Did you feel any lack of safety, for example, as you walked around on Saturday and Sunday?
No, actually, at first, many people were afraid that there were going to be looting or riots or something like that. But honestly, people were very organized. And as I said, we went to do the long queue at the mini market and it was full of people. And people, when they found out that Maduro was taken, many of them cheered loudly. And I heard reports of the same in other parts of the city. But then the uncertainty hit because we realized that the structure of the government hasn't changed. So we didn't know where we were standing. And when I went back to Caracas that day, I just saw so many queues of cars in gas stations, queues of people in pharmacies, queues of people at supermarkets. And by night, the city felt like a ghost town. There was not even a car in sight in the highway. So I feel that people were more or less trying to just cover their basic needs in case things got worse, because there's parts of the city without electricity right now near where the bombings happen. But more or less, it was like that sort of tense calm of confusion of Venezuelans not knowing what's gonna happen and where are we heading right now. Because as I said, Maduro is gone, but the government more or less remains intact. So that's more or less the attitude right now in Caracas. Today, there's more people in the streets, there's more cars. There's also reports of these colectivo paramilitary groups from the government in poorer areas trying to maintain some sort of control. But regardless, it's crazy to imagine, that the bombing happened and people are just acting very normal. It's very surreal in a way. The morning after I woke up, people were even playing tennis in the area I was.
Gabriela, I think we have about a minute left. I think that there are restrictions on internet access in Venezuela. How are people getting sort of accurate news? Are they getting accurate news as to what's going on?
So it's extremely hard. And of course, this is fueling uncertainty and this is fueling disinformation and misinformation. Just to know, the Venezuelan media ecosystem is profoundly impacted by the last 25 years of dictatorship. More than 400 media have shut down. Many journalists have migrated. So right now there are many places that are considered news deserts, and it's pretty hard to confirm information. I think right now people are trying to confirm everything. Media is trying to fact check all the information that we found in social media, and journalists are doing the best. But social media is the place where people find information nowadays.
Yeah, for better or worse, I guess. Gabriela Mesones Rojo and Tony Frangia Mawad, journalists in Caracas, thank you very much for speaking with us this evening.
Thank you, Ian.